What's up, world? Welcome back to Authentically Us, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be authentic in everything that you do, in every space that you occupy. I'm one of the hosts. I'm Conroy Smith, and we got Tony here on the podcast. Tony, say what's up to the people.
Yo, I'm always here. Always here when you need me. When you don't, I'm still here. So what's up?
Hey, guys, shout out to MSW Media for having us on their platform. Also, take a look at our link tree. We have merch, and we have a special thing we're going to do for the month of August. Tony, can you let the people know what we got?
So, yeah, for the month of August, we're inviting our listeners to read through a book by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Between the World and Me. And at the beginning of September, we're going to release an episode where Kamar and I are just talking about our thoughts and our reflections of the book. So, yeah, join the journey. Feel free to submit questions and thoughts as you're reading. We love to really engage you in that way.
Yeah, we get to have a little book club together. You know what? Tony and I did a book club a couple years ago and during the pandemic with like a bunch of friends virtually here in California, also in Pennsylvania, and it was just a really cool thing to be able to hear everybody's perspective. So we're inviting you guys in this journey with us, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm excited, Tony. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. It's going to be a fire book, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on what Ta-Nehisi has to say.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of his, so
yes,
I'm excited. Well, guys, let's jump into the episode today. Today we are doing another Real Talk, and today's Real Talk is going to look a little bit different. We'll probably throw these in every once in a while, but we're going to do a mental health check-in. Mental health check-in, and Tony and I really believe in mental health. We also believe in therapy. We also believe in Jesus. So today we're going to check in. Tony is also going to school. If you guys don't know by now, where have you been? You know, Tony is going to school to study to be a therapist. So Tony, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this. You put your studies into practice.
Oh, sounds good. So, basically, it's just gonna be a session with Kamar. Just kidding. I don't do therapy with friends. So, but yeah, talk to me about what therapy has looked like for you in the past year.
You know what? I've been thinking about doing therapy for a long time, and I tried last year, and I tried this one platform. I don't want to bash it because I know it's good, but it wasn't good for me because my therapist fell asleep. I visually watched him fall asleep virtually, and I was just like, all right, this isn't going to work. So this year I found this other organization that I could do it virtually or in person because my therapist is here in San Diego, and it was great. You know, the hardest part for me, I guess, was finding something that financially I could afford without breaking the bank, and I did find it, and it was amazing. It's been a really cool journey because at first it was a lot of like career planning, almost like life coaching, and then it kind of turned to life started lifing really bad, really good, I guess, for me. So we got to talk about some deep things. So it's been definitely a journey because I've got to see it in different phases, mainly because in my life I had a therapist in college, like my last year, and that was like, it was a traumatic time for me. So coming back to it, you know, years later, it looks completely different, and it's been such a eye-opening experience to know that somebody else is on my side. Somebody else is looking out for me. Somebody else has my best interest at at heart without any other motives. So it's all that to say, it's been a cool journey for me. What about you? I mean, especially now that you're studying all of this now, like, is it interesting to like be in therapy and then also studying it?
Yeah, so the program I'm in is very much introspective work in almost every course. And so while I love therapy, I get tired of it because while I'm getting therapy like from my therapist, I'm also in some ways getting some therapeutic help from my supervisor and from my instructors, and so I think this year has been good. I haven't needed to go to therapy as much, and to me, that's the goal of therapy, is being able to give clients tools in their toolbox to eventually be able to be sufficient where they don't need a therapist. They still can, come periodically for kind of maintenance, if you will, like changing oil in a car and things like that. But, they don't need regular weekly sessions because they have sorted through what they're struggling with, and then are able to kind of do things on their own.
Yeah, and I would assume that even when you're going to get therapy, and then also as you are meeting with clients, you're learning in the process because you're seeing them have breakthroughs or work through things, and it's almost like, hey, I'm trying to give you this tool, but what really happened is you gave me a tool too,
right?
Which I think is a beautiful thing as a teacher, almost like watching what you're doing come to life.
Right. Well, and like the crazy thing about when I sit with my clients, often when I'm telling them like different strategies or just repeating back to them what I hear them saying, I'm like, I could really use that for myself. And so it's working with clients forces me to work with myself, regardless if I like it or not.
Wow. I experienced that too. Like, I'm a trainer, so it looks different, right? I'm training somebody, and I'm at the gym helping somebody, and I see them do something. I'm like, oh wow, I can incorporate that in now. And I'm assuming like mental health can look very much the same because it is a muscle that you're flexing too.
Right.
What would you say has been what would you say has been the hardest moment this year for you so far?
That's a good question. So for me, I would say the hardest time of this year has been just sorting through why at times I can be passive in the way that I show up in my marriage. And getting to the root that it stems from a lot of abandonment issues I have. My wife is amazing. Laura's very strong, and which is amazing. But like, for me, I'm afraid that if I kind of challenge her a little too much, she will shut down and leave. Not necessarily like physically, like divorce. I know we're in it for the long haul, but leave emotionally. And I had to sort through, like, that is my own stuff that I need to work through. I can't have someone else work through that for me. And, you know, it's okay that there's things she might do that triggers that, but ultimately she's not responsible for my healing. I am. And so just really coming to terms with this is on me and no one else but me. Well, what about you? Talk to me about what has been, you know, you've been in therapy for a couple years now. What would you say has been your biggest breakthrough in your therapeutic journey?
The biggest breakthrough, I would say, in my therapy journey was being done talking about it and actually stepping up and doing it. I think I talked about it a lot, about how, you know, I'm for therapy, but like, I don't know, I can't afford it. And when I found out there's other options, it gave me hope that, you know, mental health and therapy is a beautiful thing, and there are options for people who can't afford, you know, the biggest bang for your buck therapy or therapist, but you can find programs and stuff like that, which I ended up doing. So I would say that has been the biggest breakthrough, is just stepping up and doing it, and then sitting in it even when it's uncomfortable, because there's moments where, you know, my therapist asks me questions and I'm like, I don't really want to talk about that, and in my mind, and then I'll just, you know, sit in that moment, and I'm like, you know what, we do need, for that main reason, for that thought coming to my mind, this is why we need to talk about this and have these hard conversations, you know, about family, about, you know, relationships, about, you know, why I do the things I do, why I want the things I want, and sitting with those thoughts. I would say that has been another breakthrough in learning to be okay, and knowing that here's a story. You know, my therapist, our first session, he was like, "Do you get angry?" I was like, "Nah, not really." I'm like, "I used to." He's like, "Why? Why don't you get angry?" And that was like a simple question he asked. And, you know, like some of those questions your therapist asks that you just sit with the rest of the week. And I'm like, why did he ask me this? And like,
right.
And I realized that, like, I was afraid to get angry because of how I would respond in the past. So knowing that I can be angry and not have to blow up, like, this doesn't have to equal this. You know, the Bible talks about,
right.
In your anger, don't, what is it? In your anger,
do not sin.
So it's like, you can get angry, but I don't have to take it there. So giving myself permission to get mad, to get angry, and then also sitting in it and working through it, not just like avoiding it. So I would say that's probably been my biggest breakthrough for sure.
So what does it look like when you get angry now?
I don't know. I still avoid it for sure. But I think when I get angry now is I recognize it. I feel like the blood boiling and all this stuff, and sometimes it looks like me talking it out with a friend, or mainly to God, or going on a walk and processing why I'm angry about this certain situation, or kind of looking within, looking inward and being like, okay, I got angry at this person at work. Why? Okay, let's peel back the layers. Yeah, they said this, but like, why? Why did that statement take me there? And it is peeling back the layers and like, trying to find that root of it. Whether it was 6-year-old Conroy or 29-year-old Conroy, like why?
Mm-hmm.
Why did that make you angry? So I think that's kind of what I'm doing now is like feeling the anger and then peeling back the layers.
Yeah, so that's actually something I learned about this past semester is like when we have over exaggerated reactions to things, 90% of our reaction has to do with stuff that we haven't processed from childhood. Only 10% of our reaction actually has to do with something in the moment. Like, it's just our other stuff coming up. And at first I didn't believe that rule, but ever since I paid attention to every interaction. And as I've gotten curious, I'm like, oh yeah, that's young me. That's little boy me. That's not 30-year-old me. And so yeah, I think that's so key is like not to avoid these emotions, but just get curious, because when we have curiosity, we have compassion for ourselves, and as we're sorting through all of our trauma, all of these wounds, let's just be curious, and on the other side of the curiosity could be healing.
I like that. Do you find it frustrating? Like, I get frustrated when I get angry at something and I peel back the layers and I'm like, man, that was from when my grandma said this to me when I was 4 or 8. And I'm just like, like, why? I'm 30 now, 31, and why is that still bothering me? I think that's kind of more of like, for my story, like, do you find yourself getting frustrated when you recognize this is not 30-year-old Tony, but this is little kid Tony?
Oh, all the time, because I'm like, that happened 26 years ago. Like, can we move past it? But the thing with trauma is trauma knows no time. Trauma just knows what your body feels. And so anytime your body feels a certain type of way, you're going to have that same reaction, that same flashback, if you will. And so how do you work through that in a way that, again, is curious and has compassion on yourself, so that you don't get frustrated at you, but you start to heal?
Yeah. I like that. Well, I wanted to do like a one of these podcasts that I follow, Tony and I watch, listen, and view a lot of different podcasts. One of the ones that I follow, they used to do it back in the day. They haven't done it anymore, but they do these kind of check-ins, and they just give a scale 1 to 10. You can go into detail if you want, but scale of 1 to 10, family, family, finances / business, and then like your personal mental. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing in those 3 categories? Family, finances / business, and then your mental.
Great. Family, let's say 8. I'm loving watching Clay grow up, watching Clay become his own person, and he's got quite a personality, and just being able to sit back and watch Laura be a mother to him. Clay's utterly blessed to have a mom like her. And so family, definitely 8. Finances, I think 6 or 7. Just because we're in a good spot financially. We're not in a place where we could be or should be. We could definitely do better, and I can spend less, but that's challenging. And then personal mental health, I would say 8.5. I'm just feeling really good about life. Just excited about this semester starting back up for ministry and in schooling. Like, I'm just really in a good spot. What about you? What's your scales?
Man, family, I would say is probably like around like a 6. There's been a lot of stuff going on with my sister. You and I have talked about this, and that has just like kind of weighed me down for these last couple years, because it's like my little sister, it's like that's my girl, and just seeing family members struggle is never easy, and then trying to like navigate parents who don't act like parents as a adult is very interesting. So that's what I would say, around a 6. In terms of finances and business, I would say it's probably around 5 or a 6 as well. Last year, one of the things I had was an Airbnb and kind of getting that business going, and then like try to get it going, and then end up failing. Just bad investments with some scammers that we're trying to deal with now. So just kind of like trying to get back on my feet. I would say that has been very challenging. And then in terms of like mental, I would say now I'll say I'm like a 7 or 8. A couple months ago, and I didn't realize this until maybe like a couple weeks ago, that I was probably like at a 5. And I didn't realize that I was just kind of on autopilot, just kind of going through things, not really having big emotions to anything. But it was like I didn't want to be creative, and I mean, me, it's like I love doing spontaneous things, I love being creative, and I just wasn't doing it. Like I was actually getting drained by things, and I was like, what is going on? And then recently, I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, wow, I was in like a little drought or like a depressive state, and now that I'm out of it, I can look back and be like, wow, I wasn't doing anything that I enjoyed, and now it's like getting my bearings back underneath me. So I would say probably a 7 or 8 right now, kind of getting back to my normal, like spontaneous, fun, happy-go-lucky guy, and that's where I'm at, I would say, for sure.
So, what has it been? What made you understand that you weren't being yourself? Like, did you have friends talk to you about it? Your therapist? Like, what did that epiphany look like?
It was actually an argument I had with somebody, and they posed the question of like you're not acting like yourself. Like, there's things that I'm suggesting that you're not wanting to do, and it's like you've always wanted to do those things. So then afterwards, I was like thinking, I'm like, wow, I just didn't have the energy to want to do any of those things. It was like I was giving what I had. And once I stopped and like somebody mentioned it to me, once I stopped and thought about it, then I was like, oh, wow, yeah, you were right. And then peeling back the layers of like, hey, what was going on at this time? Like, there was things going on with family, finances, relationships that I was having to carry at work. It was just like I was carrying all this luggage, and I was just carrying it. And then we would just add more, and I was just carrying it, and I wasn't doing anything with it. So then once I realized, like, oh, I don't have to carry that, or this. Oh, I'm so much lighter now. Let's go.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, that was kind of it. It was like a random one-off conversation.
That's good. So y'all get some friends that'll get in your business and call you out when you need to be called out.
For sure. Like, you need friends that can call you out. Maybe you guys even argue, but like, it gets you back.
Right.
So
Conflict is good.
no, this is what we tell ourselves.
Right.
Till our heart catches up, we just have to say it. Say it till we
Right.
mean it.
Absolutely.
Man. Guys, what another great episode of Real Talks. Again, we're going to start doing these mental health checks every once in a while. I want to ask you guys as well, like, do a mental health check with yourself. Scale of 1 to 10, how's everything going with family, with finances / business, and in your mental? And let us know. Shoot us a DM. You can shoot us a voice message. And we want to be a part of this journey with you guys and to hear you guys. So, Tony, this is another great episode, bro.
Always. Always.
Yeah, take a look at our link tree. Shout out to MSW Media. Guys, if you take a look at this hat, we got this cool little hat. We got hats. We got T-shirts. Whatever you like, whatever you want, let us know.
We got it.
We got it.
Stop shop.
One-stop shop. But until next time, y'all, be authentic in everything that you do. Peace out. Read the book.
Peace, y'all.